we're going to talk about the Trent stuff, of course, and you're going to tell me one journalist said one thing and somebody else will say one journalist said another thing. But whatever you think, once again, you can see the narrative is going in one direction, and that is Madrid's favour. Now you can throw in the Al Hilal Salah stuff, and we're going to talk about that in more detail as well. So I'm not asking you who you believe, but I'm asking you to just, at the very least, admit that it's a distraction. Admit that we need to call this out and speak up about it, because the fact that the narrative is being seized by Madrid yet again, and there's a split on journalists on this, by the way. Some journalists feel like Trent hasn't made the decision, as per Melissa Reddy, I think somebody said there. But I can show you 3 or 4 others that do. And I don't know. But I know that Trent's keeping stum about it, and that's not helping this situation. So let's run through some of the stories that have been doing the rounds about Trent today. And the first one came from Madrid Extra, who are, of course, going to be very pro-Real Madrid. They're quoting Marca, and they say, breaking, Trent Alexander-Arnold to Madrid is done. Done in capitals. Decision pending on a January or July move. Next one up after that, we had a report that said from Alex Crook, who I believe is TalkSport, said Liverpool are aware there is a strong possibility that Trent Alexander-Arnold decides to move to Real Madrid when his contract expires at the end of the season. And then another one that just came on a little bit before we started was a report from Graham Bailey, who said Trent Alexander-Arnold is ready to confirm that he will be joining Real Madrid in 2025. So, take from that what you want, but yet again, it is a situation where the club are looking like absolute arseholes, useless, being bullied in the media, and we just say nothing about it, and we're supposed to believe everything's great. You know you're going to tell me that some journalists say it's not done, but here's my question to you. Who's telling you he's staying? Because the difference between it's not done yet and he's staying is a great difference. And I'm not seeing much positivity around the idea of him staying. I don't know what the decision is, but I just want him to speak about it and make it clear to the fans, because this situation is going to unravel our season and the other contracts, and somebody needs to be responsible for it. And it isn't the fans' fault. So, who is it? The players? The agents? The club? Somebody needs to take some responsibility on this, because it's just not fair to the rest of us. Do you know how many times over the last 3 or 4 days I've had people say to me, either in Discord or by email or on the phone when I'm chatting with them, do you know what, Craig? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel unhappy when we're top of the league? And I sat back and I've thought about this, and am I responsible for some of this? Am I just being negative for the sake of it? And then I keep coming back and forth, and I've come to the conclusion that no, I'm not the cause of it. You're not the cause of it. You don't want to feel the way you feel about it. But the inactivity and the indecision by the club is embarrassing. And it's putting good positions at jeopardy. For what? And that's where the problem is. We don't know. Is it money? I've got the feeling the 3 contract offers that are on the table have lowballed the 3 boys. They don't want to accept them. They're trying to put the pressure on, like with Mohamed Salah now with the Al Hilal stuff. The club are pushing back. And all of it is just toxic. None of it brings people together. None of it resolves the issues. It's just a battle for hearts and minds in the media. And it's tiring for us fans. So that's what I would say tonight. We're all exhausted. We're top of the league. We should be happy. But we've seen this play out before. And you've every right to be frustrated by that and confused about it. Craig, if it was you, what would you do if you're one of the big 3? I'd like to say there's always time for a deadline and an ultimatum on either side. So whether I'm the player, the agent, or whether I'm the club, you set a deadline, a hard and fast deadline, and you say, this is the best that we can do. We can't move on this. This is it. And the other side can say, well, this is how much we want. We're not moving on it. Set a deadline and then be decisive. But what seems to be happening is that we're dragging this out. We're going to go through another window with the whole crap, and then the season goes on and we drag it out and we still don't know what's going on. Then we get told that there's no instability. The players aren't distracted. Everything's great. We should all be ashamed of ourselves for thinking otherwise, despite what the evidence is in front of our eyes. I like this comment because I think it's true, James. So James Cruikshank said, Liverpool massively overachieve when you see how little the team gets backed. Yes. And that's probably a bad thing for us fans, because that just emboldens FSG to go, top of the league, what are these idiots moaning about? But we were top of the league last season, and we've been in positions before where we've seen this play out, and they don't learn their lessons. Or at least, maybe they are learning the lessons, but they just don't care. Either way, this isn't an anti-Arne Slot and the boys. This is an anti-FSG thing for me, because I'll always have the players' backs and the managers' back. And if I was to tell you how I really felt about the Trent situation, I'd probably get in a lot of trouble. I've given you a glimpse of it. I've told you I think he's a coward. And I do. I think Trent should grow a pair and man up. And if he's made a decision, be honest about it. But there's not one fibre of my body that believes he doesn't know whether he wants to be in Liverpool or Madrid. You can get into the nitty-gritty of the contract and the numbers all you want. That's fair enough. But it doesn't take this long to know what you want to do. It doesn't. In any walk of life, with any decision ever. You have had 18 months, or at least 7 or 8 months, since Jurgen announced he was heading off. And we're still at a point where we're all supposed to believe that he hasn't made his fucking mind up. Again, this is us being treated like idiots by him, by the club, and by everybody involved in this. Of course he knows what he wants to do. And all signs point to he wants to go. In my head. But again, I'm trying to just piece this together the same as everybody else, and I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I know bullshit when I smell it. Don't like Cole Walker, but at least he's told City he wants to leave. Why doesn't Trent come out and let us know what's going on? Again, mate, the honest answer in me is he's a pussy. That's the honest answer. You know, people don't like me saying that, but that's my answer. He hasn't come out because he's trying to play both sides of the fence and speak out of both sides of his mouth and look after himself, which is absolutely fine. He has to look after himself. I get that. But you don't have to think we're all idiots. You know, I get people want to believe, oh, Trent's just been so respectful to the club. Fuck me. No. How is this being respectful? How is subjecting every Liverpool fan to constant taunts from Real Madrid, how is that respectful? Who's that respecting? Because you can say he's not saying that and he's not. He's letting the void be filled with all these stories and all these, and he's not come out and said once that he wants to stay. Not once. I don't know how anybody can defend his behaviour anymore in this situation. And I'm trying to walk the tightrope here because I don't want to be toxic towards him. But I also don't want to be taken for a fool. And I think we're being taken for fools. Say what you want to do. Stop being a pussy. Eros said, can't blame the man if he wants to get paid. Sorry, I'll finish your comment. Would have loved for all our legends who've stayed with Liverpool, but you only have so much time as an athlete. Again, I think a lot of people will say okay to what you've said, but it's the not speaking up and not being honest part that it's starting to hurt a lot of us. Because if Trent does want that, like I've said all along, be upfront, front up to the camera, talk to people, you know, honestly, sincerely, and explain that. Most people will be hurt but understand it. But if they feel like they've been manipulated to get to this point, and then the announcement's made and it's been dragged out and he's maybe known it for a long time, it takes a lot of the goodwill away, and it takes a lot of the gloss off his time at the club for some people. So again, just be honest and be upfront if that's the case. I think everybody can understand somebody, like you said, in a short career, maybe fancying another angle or another move, or, you know, yeah, he's human. I get it. But be honest about it. Because I don't think it takes anybody 18 months or a year to just know what country they want to be in. Do you want to stay in Liverpool? Do you want to go to Madrid? That's a simplistic question. The money side of it, you're still going to be you're still going to be well paid. You're still going to be a multi-millionaire. You know, you don't have to worry about your family not having a roof over their heads or any of that stuff. He knows that. He knows. You and I know he knows. He just doesn't know whether he can get the most money out of the situation yet, but he knows what he wants to do. It doesn't take this long to make that decision.